I am kind of curious about the name. I and obviously the whole Ratatouille stuff as well. It hadn't come up yet. We have to get to it at some point.
So I love rats.
Mm.
um, Ratatouille was a wordplay on the movie. Someone came up with that. I don't know who came up with the name. So we had like when we first forked TweeRS, the repository and the organization was called TweeRS Revival.
Mhm.
My fork is still called TweeRS Revival, and we used that for a while, and we were like, okay, we are now a different project. We should have a name and a logo.
Mhm.
So we did a poll on the name. We asked people on Discord, and Ratatouille was one of the options there. And I still don't know who came up with that. I asked like a long time after like we picked Ratatouille, I try to find the exact message on Discord, like the first ever message. I can't find it. Maybe it was on voice chat
Mm.
in
Ah.
one of the meetings. Like I don't know. I'm super curious, and nobody actually took ownership of the name. So no idea. But that's actually a great name. Fun fact: I watched the Ratatouille movie after Ratatouille happened, so that's a bit embarrassing on my part. But anyways, never too late. Um,
Yeah. True.
so after Ratatouille, just rats. I love rats as
Mm.
animals. They're super cool. So that became my whole persona. Since I'm always using like I am always wearing a hat, people think that I have a rat under the hat. So that became my whole thing. And I actually have this
Yes,
mascot over here. So
that is
one of my
sick.
friends he said, "Dude, I should 3D print the rat for you." And he actually did this, and I painted this on live stream. This was actually broken a couple of times, but yeah. So this is my whole thing now, and I just love it. And Ratty was like, I think it was someone who suggested the name on a live stream.
Mhm.
I was the first like idea was rat term, and they were like, Ratty is a better name, and Ratty is
They're
a
right.
wordplay on a TTY and rat, and because there's like already a terminal called Kitty,
Mhm.
I was like, damn, that's the perfect name. And I just like immediately searched it on GitHub, and no project was using it. So I was like, I'm gonna use Ratty. And I published the Ratty on Crates.io,
Mhm.
and there was already a terminal emulator called Ratty, and I was like, damn, I cannot take the Ratty name. And somebody else created another terminal emulator. So I reached out to them on LinkedIn. I asked, hey, dude, I want to, like, I will release this project. This is gonna, this is gonna, people will have their attention on this, I think. Do you want to, like, donate the Ratty name to me on Crates.io? And they were like, yeah, sure. I mean, you can take it. I appreciate what you're doing in Ratatouille and so on. So they knew about Ratatouille and they knew about me. So I was like super, super happy. So shout out to them. I forget their name, but yeah, so they donated the name to me and I took the Ratty name, and it's so great. I love it. Yeah, rats.
I used to have pet rats as a kid. The only sad thing with rats, they don't live that long.
Yeah, yeah. I want to have a pet rat at some point. I want to actually like. Okay, fun story.
Mm, mm,
I had this mascot with me at some point. I went to London to give a talk, and there was this meetup. And just jokingly, I said, like in the meetup page, I said, "I'm taking the rat with me. I hope that's fine." I was talking about this thing, and they were like, "Sorry, dude, we don't allow pet rats in the venue. We're terribly sorry." And I was like, No, I mean, this is I'm not talking about pet rats. I'm taking this. Of course, I didn't flew with the rat under my hat for like you know or how long, I don't even remember. But yeah, at some point I will do it,
mm.
though. I will actually have a rat under this hat. I'm gonna take it off during a talk, and that's gonna be the peak moment of my career.
So,
So yeah.
what what sort of response did you expect from this when you dropped it? Because obviously, it's gotten quite a bit of attention since it first came out.
Um, I actually knew that it's gonna get some attention
Mm.
because it's looking hilarious. So I was mostly expecting. So I've done stuff like this before. Basically, I've released some projects and they were on the top of Hacker News. So I'm kind of used to it. I'm not flexing here, but this happened to me before.
Sure,
Okay, I'm
sure.
flexing.
A little
I'm
bit.
flexing. Okay, yeah. Uh, so basically, I was expecting people to play around with this a bit. I was expecting screenshots. I didn't get any screenshots. That's a bit sad. But I shared it um, on Reddit and on some rising subreddits. So people, I was like specifically expecting people to actually integrate this into their setups and have, I don't know, anime girls spinning or some shit. So that didn't happen yet.
Give it
Basically, I was,
time.
yeah, give it time. So I was expecting to, see some fun stuff. I was having fun building this. It was super fun, and I just want to have fun, and I just want to see some fun stuff in return. But of course, I was not expecting anyone to daily drive this because it's heavy. But I knew that people were gonna daily drive it anyways.
Mhm.
So yeah, and yeah, this was a good advertisement for Ratatouille as well, I think.
That's fair. Actually, that's a really good point. I wasn't aware of the Ratatouille project before this. Obviously, people clearly were. It's clearly a popular way of building, like terminal stuff with Rust. But I think you're right. Like, it put a bunch of new eyes onto it who weren't really like involved in that space already.
Yeah, it's a good advertisement for Ratatouille and Rust overall, because that's my primary project.
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm working on primarily. These stuff are just like like things that I do for fun,
Mm-mm.
but Ratatouille is the main thing. So I try to develop the library. I try to give workshops, give talks, and just produce content around this library. So basically, this was just a way of showing off. You can do things like this using Ratatouille and Rust, and that's what I've been doing for a while. Actually, like if you go to my social media, if you scroll down, like you'll see like Ratatouille content every day because I just love sharing what people have built. Like every day I get like a new, I see a new Ratatouille project or a Rust project, and I just love the language. I just love working on Ratatouille. So that's literally my passion, and this is the product of my passion, let's say.
Mm-hmm.